Okay, we're going to start with a little bit of cleanup first because the car is kind of a mess, and that'll make it a little bit more pleasant to work on. So it's dirty, the wheels are grungy. I was looking on row 52 and there are a few of these at the pick and pulls nearby. So maybe I could find a window shade, and maybe I could find a non-delaminated window for this door. Give a little. I also found a pretty good looking steering wheel on eBay for like $90 last night. I haven't bought anything yet because I want to make sure everything else is not terminal. I wonder if I could pull out a rear window from a junkyard. This one's got a crack in it, and I'd hate to have to buy a new one if I don't have to. Figure out what's going on with that door. The roof is pretty bad. Try compounding it and see what happens. Wheels are a mess. So I was looking through my service records. Tires I put on about 30,000 miles or 30,000 kilometers ago. They're still in pretty good shape. Brakes, fronts were done about 40,000. Rears I don't think I've done those yet. I didn't see them in my records. Spark plugs were about 40,000 kilometers ago. Alternator was about 30. I started doing a little cleaning on the interior before filming here, but wanted to get some good before shots. So we'll check in as we go. All right, a little more on the cleaning of the E66. This is in the trunk, and I think this is remnants of a failed trunk hydraulic actuator. This has the auto open close, which hasn't worked for a couple of years. I thought that was an O-ring, but yeah, hydraulic fluid. We'll clean that up while we're here. A little bit of oil on the back of the spare tire too. All right, so we're moving on this degreaser, some water, and sucking out with that first before I hit the shop vac, so I don't really mess up the shop vac too much, even though it's wet and dry. This is really thick, oily stuff. The degreaser is breaking it down, water to kind of dilute that away, and it'll get cleaned up. All right, trunk components pretty well cleaned up. Trunk is decent. Scrubbing the floor mats a bit. They came out pretty good except for the passenger side. There's like some sort of stuff that's like gummy and embedded into the carpets. And the footrests need a little bit of attention, maybe some adhesive. Get that side flap back on. All right, so spent some time cleaning. Good starting point. Need to do another little vacuum. I used the air blower and blew out a lot of stuff from under the seats. But much better. Okay, we're doing some initial compounding on the 750, kind of a moderate compound, and I have a somewhat aggressive white pad. It's coming out pretty good. We'll hit some of this bad stuff on the front and show you what we can get here. working at home, so the lighting's not the best, but it actually looks pretty good. Let's do a little comparison. Doing a little comparison on the trunk lid. There's kind of initial compound and the untouched part. I mean, lighting's not that great, but you could really tell. It's coming out decently. There's a couple pretty good scratches where some things were set on the trunk and drug off that aren't going to come out, but that'll be totally acceptable. All right, so here is our after shot. Spent a good part of the day cleaning and polishing it. Came out pretty good. Not perfect for sure. You know, the roof is still not so hot, but nothing I can do about that. There's not enough paint up there. Still a few scratches, but for the most part, presentable. Interior's much nicer. Sounds like I need a door brake on that door. And I need to get into the passenger rear door to see why it doesn't open from the outside. A little better shot here without the sun right in our face. I think I might do some leather reek on the seats. They're kind of dry. But for now, this is acceptable. Okay, next day, paint's polished out pretty well. Got some sealant on it. We'll pull it outside in a little bit, but while it's in the garage over here, let's look at fault codes. Got the old GT1 fired up, and let's do diagnosis. Try to get on the right side here. And 7 Series, E65. This is not the fastest system, so we'll get it started here. Do you wish to do a short test? Yes. So we're going to do a short test. It'll scan all the modules once it identifies the car. And when we come back, it will tell us all of the fault codes. So we've got a check engine light, which I think is typically misfire codes from probably valve guide seals. We'll see what else is on there. And maybe we'll poke around in here and see if I can figure out a way to actually reset the oil service light, because it's kind of annoying to have that red car icon staring at me. This takes a while because it's not a fast system. So there's all the modules that it's found, and it's going to scan all of those. So we'll check back in a few minutes and see what it says. All right, so the DME, under voltage, pretty much everything is not currently present. A bunch of misfires, 6845, adaptation, max adaptive, cylinder adaptation 2 idling, system 2 lean, several cylinders misfire, system 2 lean. I wonder if there might be an air leak, or maybe the pre-cat O2 sensors are bad. So I'm going to clear this, we'll reset adaptations, and then we'll see what comes back. There's a few other faults I'll look into, but these are the main concerns here right now. I just wanted to show what the system is doing when I try to reset the fault modes. It's nighttime, but you know, you'll get the idea. So to reset the fault, typically you do power on without the key. So it's showing I'm negative 20 kilometers from my service. So you press the button and hold, and then that'll bring up the menu here in a couple of seconds. And then we go to engine oil service, minus 20 kilometers. So press and hold again. Then on the other side, we got reset engine oil. Press and hold, engine oil reset, okay. But we go back through, we scroll back through the thing here, and engine oil, 0 kilometers. So it should be giving me like, you know, 12,000, 15,000, whatever BMW service interval is, but it's resetting the maintenance to 0. So basically, once we start driving, we are now past service due, and I get a chime and this little red car icon saying we're past due on service. So let's do it again, because the same thing's going to happen. So engine oil, press and hold, reset engine oil, press and hold, engine oil reset. Okay, but still 0. Let's try brake fluid just in case that's messing something up. I'll do brake fluid again soon. It says I'm due in 8 weeks, which is probably right. So now I've got nothing soon. Front brakes 27,000 kilometers, vehicle check 30,000, microfilters 60,000, spark plugs 90,000. There's no way. Spark plugs have been in there for 40 already. But here, engine oil 0 kilometers. Let's try again. Reset engine oil, press and hold the button. Reset, okay. Let's go back. And still 0. So that's my issue. I've tried doing the same thing on the GT1, and I get the same result. It does not reset. It resets it to 0, but then as soon as you start driving, you're past. Basically, that means you're due for service in 0 kilometers. So it's due right now. So it's not negative, but it's still due. So if anybody has heard of a workaround, I'm gonna Google it some more. But you know, letters on a postcard. Let me know if you've come across this. From what I've read, once these cars pass 360,000 kilometers, you just can't reset the light. But yeah, it's kind of annoying, because now every time you drive the car, after a couple of kilometers, you get a big red warning in the dash saying service due. All right, well, after doing that last video last night, trying to reset the instrument cluster, I did a little more Googling. And it looks like there is a service bulletin for high mileage cars of this era, where basically BMW could just code out the oil service interval indicator. So you could turn it off. So you don't get the reminders, but that's okay. Don't need those anyway, because I'm not doing 15,000 kilometer oil changes. And then at least I won't have the red light service due coming on every time I drive the car. So I'm going to look into that. But overall, I spent about 10 hours over the weekend on the car, and I'm pretty pleased. It cleaned up pretty nicely. Reset all the, I reset adaptations and cleared the fault codes. So far, no service engine soon light has come back, so we'll see what happens there. I'm sure it will, but for now, it's driving great. I have got to get oil or valve cover gaskets. Everybody has told me while you're there, you should do the upper timing cover gaskets too. So I'll probably get all that stuff on order, and then replace that, and then maybe do an oil change at the same time as we are approaching 400,000 kilometers, and that would be when I would be planning on doing one anyway. But for now, it's driving pretty good. If it shows that it's worth keeping going, which I have no plan on not doing that, but it does need a windshield. It's got a couple of pretty bad cracks in it. Searching online, there's no shortage of these cars in junkyards, so maybe I could find and pull a rear glass out of a picking pole car, because the rear glass is cracked also. But other than that, and door sills are really beat up. I don't know if I'm going to find anything better in the junkyard, but within 50 miles, there's like 8 of these cars in junkyards, so it's worth looking. Going to play around with one other laptop-based app to see if it does anything for resetting the oil service light, just in case. But from the research I've done, it's pretty much anything over 300,000 miles and you're on borrowed time, 300,000 kilometers, and you eventually will not be able to reset the oil service reminder on some of these cars. So, but that's that. It's wasn't a car I was looking to get back, but it's a really nice driving car, and I really enjoyed it when I had it a few years ago. So I'm happy to have it back in the rotation, and we will see how things go. I'm sure it'll give me plenty of projects and plenty of stuff to keep me busy, to keep it on the road. But for what these cars are worth, they're really good driving experiences. And you could pick up a really sorted car for like 4 or 5 grand, probably with a third of the mileage, half the mileage of this car. And although the nice thing about a high mileage car is all the big ticket items have been done. It had a rebuilt transmission right before I bought the car. Suspension had been gone through, bushings, ball joints, all that stuff. I have a feeling some of it needs to be done again because there is a little bit of slop in the front end that I'm noticing, but all easy enough stuff to do. So, if you found this one interesting, leave a comment. I'll keep working on it. I'll keep showing it. I've got the older cars I still need to do a lot of stuff on. So there will be another one coming soon. And I had promised a driving video on the M5 and 500E. Got to work on that maybe over the holidays coming up here, as long as our weather keeps staying as nice as it has been. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon.